So back in 2008 when it occurred, again, I had no idea why the water went from hot to cold all of a sudden. And like I said, my heart was very deeply broken. And one thing that seemed to make it really difficult is that he was still there in the house. It's like I had to face the rejection constantly. If he did happen to be up when I was up, and he happened to pass me in the house, and look at me, the hatred in his eyes was so clear. It was so clear, and, I was just so terribly hurt. And then, like I said, at night when I would go to bed, and a few minutes later hearing him come out, just knowing that he had been waiting for me to go to bed before he would even come out of his room, it was really hurting. And it's just like this was in my face all of the time. So what I'm going to share with you now is a link to a message. This is a PDF file. I've called it the Perception of Rejection. What I did was I sat down with Holy Spirit. It looks like about the 19th, and I believe the rejection probably happened around the 14th or 15th. So I walked around with this for a few days. And then I wrote to Holy Spirit and had a discussion with Holy Spirit about this. And this is what I really want to share, is Holy Spirit's perspective on what was going on. So again, I've given you a link to the message. This is not posted on reginadonakers.com. During this period of time, during this year, I was doing the Way of Mastery. It's actually a 3-year course, I believe, but my inner pace was 1/3 of that time. So I did the entire course, but I did it in 1 year. And it looks like what prompted me to start writing to Spirit is because I was trying to read the Way of Mastery. I was trying to focus on it, and I couldn't. My mind was too distracted about what was going on in the house. And so, could you post again? Yes, I can post again. So here is the link one more time. There you go. All right. So I will begin reading at the top. I said to Holy Spirit, I can't focus on the Way of Mastery. My mind keeps going back to the idea that I am being rejected by Laurent. Okay, so again, I was totally distracted. Holy Spirit says, how do you feel? And so I described my feelings. The first one was sad. That was the heartbreak. I'm sad. But then the next emotion I found, angry. And then I want to attack him. I really wanted to just attack him because he had hurt me so badly. And then I said, I also feel trapped, like there's no way out. Because again, he was there in the house. He was there. I couldn't get away from this rejection. So I was sad, angry. I wanted to attack him, and I felt trapped, like there's no way out. Holy Spirit asked, can you remember being here before? And as soon as he asked that question, my mind flashed back to a relationship I had in Berlin, Germany, with a man that I dated there. And there was a period of time when he seemed to also reject me. He, broke up with me and immediately started dating another girl. And the funny thing from my perception was none of his friends liked me ever. And so when they broke up with me, there was this huge celebration. Like they were really happy, and they very quickly brought in another girl and said, here, join with her, and he did. And again, I had the deep heartbreak. I don't remember even what that, what the stimulus may have been for the breakup. I don't remember in that case, but I had this deep heartbreak, all of these same feelings, and I was so angry at him, for just doing what his friends wanted him to do, and I also felt trapped because we worked together. It was just like with Laurent. With Laurent, we lived together. With this guy, we worked together, so I had to be with him and her and all of his friends, all of the time. So when Spirit said, can you remember being here before? My answer was, yes, I've been here before. This is a rerun. Some of the details are different, but this is definitely a rerun. So when I saw that it was a rerun, Spirit said, can you accept that it's in your mind? Right? If you've had this experience before, then can you accept that it's in your mind? And at first, I would say I was playing the game of being a good course student, and I said, yes, I accept it's in my mind. But then I realized I was lying. That isn't how I felt. I don't feel like this is in my mind. I wrote, but not totally, because as I am writing this, a voice is jumping up and down and saying, this is reality here. And that is exactly how I felt. This is not in my mind. I'm sitting here in the living room. Laurent's right over there in the bedroom, hating me right now, avoiding me right now. This is not in my mind. This is real life, and it hurts, and it sucks, and I hate it. Okay, that's honesty. So I started to play the spiritual game. But then I caught myself, and I stepped away from that spiritual game into honesty. But I said, this is reality here, right? This is reality. And so Spirit said, can you accept that the reality comes from the mind? Now, something switched for me. When he asked the first question, can you accept that it's in the mind, I was thinking of myself as a person, personally, Regina. And no, this is not in Regina's mind. This is happening, right here in my life. This is not my mind. It's reality. But then when he said, can you accept that reality comes from the mind, I was reminded of all of the messages that Spirit had given me, like the code, right? And I really did accept at a heart level. Now I'm not playing a game. I really did accept at a heart level that even though this seemed to be the reality of my life, what seems to be the reality of my life does come from beliefs that I have in my mind. The Holy Spirit taught me very well through the message of the code. So now I'm not playing a game. So when I come back this time and I say, okay, the reality comes from the mind, so what do I do? This is a true surrender now. Now I'm surrendering to the teacher, an honest, heartfelt surrender. And although I don't know how this situation came from the mind, I am accepting that there has to be a belief. There has to be something in my mind that is causing me to perceive this as I do, that is causing this situation to be in my experience. And if it wasn't for something in my mind, everything would be different. So I'm not playing a game. I say, okay, the reality comes from the mind, so what do I do? And here's what Holy Spirit says. Start by not wanting to change anything. Now that's, Holy Spirit, at least through me, dives right in. There's no beating around the bush. And as you can imagine, I did want to change something, right? I wanted to make him love me again. Or, if not that, then make him get the hell away from me. Right? But not live in my house continually rejecting me. This is no fun, Holy Spirit. I want it to disappear. I want him to go away so I can forget about him. Or I want him to love me again. But not this in-between crap where he's always hanging around, So Spirit is asking me to let go of all of those thoughts. He says, start by not wanting to change anything. Start by being willing to accept exactly what is. He says, when you want it to be different than it is, you are creating a strong power around it that keeps it firmly in place. That reminds me of, who was it, Carl Jung, that says, what we resist persists. This is the same statement. When you want it to be different than it is, you are creating a strong power around it that keeps it firmly in place. You start by noticing all of your feelings around the situation. Drop from the thoughts to the feelings. Now, if any of you all are doing the NTI daily reading, then you know that this morning Barb read NTI 2 Timothy chapter 2. And this is basically the exact same teaching as NTI 2 Timothy chapter 2. Spirit asks us not to deny any of our feelings, and in fact look very, very carefully at our feelings. He says drop from the thoughts to the feelings. Really dive into them. Just like it says in NTI 2 Timothy chapter 2, if we're focused on my thoughts, if I'm focused on, how unfair Laurent is, or whatever my thoughts were. I don't really remember specifically. I think I probably even saw him as emotionally abusive at the time. How emotionally abusive he was. When my thoughts are thinking like that, what's really happening is that I am being distracted away from my own emotions. I may still be feeling emotions, while I'm having these thoughts about, Laurent, but I'm not fully paying attention to what I'm feeling. In order to really look at what I'm feeling, I need to drop the story. So that's what Spirit was asking me to do. Drop the story and pay more attention to what's going on inside of me, because there's something inside of me that needs to be seen. And I'm not going to see what needs to be seen if I'm distracted by blaming Laurent. I'm distracted by those thoughts, right? So he says here's how you're going to start, by noticing all of your feelings around the situation. So don't ask the situation to be any different. Be willing to let it be exactly as it is right now, and now look inside at your feelings about it. Drop from the thoughts to the feelings. Really dive into them, he says. Whenever the thoughts are coming at a fast pace, like rapid fire, there are always feelings attached. These feelings can be quite strong, and staying at the level of thought can cover up the feelings. Remember, the thoughts are props or projections. They are literally a part of the escape. And again, this is the same teaching from this morning's 2 Timothy chapter 2. He's saying that the thoughts are an escape from the experience. And it's a projection. I mean, instead of looking at what is in me that is really causing this pain, my story is blaming Laurent, right? My story is blaming him as being emotionally abusive, right? My story is blaming him of being afraid of love. My story is blaming him. You see, that's a defense mechanism. I'm not looking at me. I'm not looking in me to see what's causing this pain if I'm listening to my story that's blaming him. So what Spirit is saying is I have to let go of the story. I have to let go of the thoughts. They are projections. They are defense mechanisms, and they are distracting me from what I really need to look at, what the real problem is here, which is in me. The real problem is in me. So he says again, whenever the thoughts are coming at a fast pace, like rapid fire, there are always feelings attached. These feelings can be quite strong, and staying at the level of thought can cover up the feelings. Remember, the thoughts are props or projections. They are literally a part of the escape. They can be useful for a time in helping you to see there is a feeling that needs to be looked at, but the feeling or effect must be examined if the true cause is ever to be realized. Stories of form are never true cause. Stories of form are never true cause.